Welcome everybody to the seasonal diet, eating what our ancestors ate when they ate it, like we were evolved to do. Oats. We are in top grain season right now in the ancestral diet in the late winter, early spring. My favorite type of grain is oats, actually. At least from my ancestry from the north of Europe, like many of you have too. Oats is the most applicable, so in this video we are speaking about why. Well, the reason I like oats, first of all, is it's because it's one of the least processed grains that you can eat. And there are so many different things that you can do with it. You can make oats into oatmeal, porridge of course, but you can also make muffins, bread, pancakes, or waffles. You can blend them in smoothies, you can make snacks, cookies, bars, cakes, pies, all that kind of stuff you can do with oats. And like I mentioned, oats is one of the least processed of all grains, which means it is further away from the factory and the chemicals and closer to being from the actual farm straight to your plate when you eat it. Especially if you get the steel cut oats, there's very little done to that before it gets to your supermarket to buy. As usual, in this video we speak about the history and seasonal availability of these foods most of all. Oats are actually very ancient. We have evidence of oats being eaten by hunter-gatherers up to 32,000 years ago. Of course, there were different wild forage species, and they're not the oats that we get in our supermarket today, so oats have been in the diet longer than many of the other grains, but it wasn't until pretty recently that they started to be cultivated and eaten on the wide scale. Scholars think not longer than 4,000 years ago. It started being cultivated in the Mediterranean area, and then they were brought into the north of Europe by the Romans about 2,000 years ago. So it has been in our diet too for quite some time, but like I said, there would have been various wild types of oats potentially eaten for a lot longer. As for the seasonal availability, oats are typically harvested in the late summer to fall, so that's when they are in top season and they are fresh like most of the other grains. However, also like all the other grains, oats have a very long shelf life and can be stored for at least a year if it's in the right conditions. So it's something our ancestors would have had access to all year round, but they are traditionally more of a late winter and spring food. So let us all know, do you guys eat oats? I personally do every day, but only in these next couple months. I make it into oatmeal and maybe even indulge in some oatmeal cookies sometimes. But how do you guys like it? Any specific recipes or ancestral traditions where you come from? Let us all know.